Hello everybody, this is Greg Cooper of Front of Mind Coaching, and today I'm doing this broadcast on behalf of the Google Plus Business Southwest community, and this is a community member interview. And I'm very pleased to have Dave Webster from Webster Consulting with us today. Hello there, Dave.
Hello, Greg.
Dave is based in Reading. Dave is an IT expert, as you will find out. Dave has a fantastic pedigree in the sector. He's worked for IBM, for Sequent, and for Microsoft, and held senior positions in those companies. And Dave's going to tell us a little bit today about his business, about how he uses Google Plus within his business, and particularly he's going to share with us a case study of how he was able to build the brand following on his page. Which is, for many people, a little bit of a struggle when they first get into Google+. So I'm going to ask Dave to introduce himself now and tell us a little bit about his business. Dave, perhaps you could just give us a little introduction, please.
Sure. It's amazing, really. The fact that we're having this conversation now was as a direct result of Google+. Webster Consulting is a cloud provider. And what we mean by that is a lot of people have been using computers with Microsoft operating systems and applications on them. And obviously the big buzzword at the moment is cloud this and cloud that. And we basically help companies transition from that old traditional computer system, we tend to call it an on-premise system, to a cloud-based system, which can be quite daunting for a lot of companies. So we basically help clients transition from from on-premise systems to cloud-based systems using tools like Office 365 or Google Apps for Business.
Great, thank you. So I in my previous business as a software marketing agency, we were talking to companies at the beginning of the sort of cloud move to cloud, and even the big companies were very wary first of all, but it's become much more the norm. I think that businesses have moved into the cloud. I wonder if I can ask you, Dave, just to explain a little bit about what Google Apps is, because I think people have probably heard of Google Apps, but a lot of people don't completely understand what Google Apps is.
Yeah, sure. The simplest way to describe it is in Microsoft terms, really. If you think of Microsoft in two parts, everyone knows about the Microsoft Office platform, which can allows you to use things like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. These are kind of collaboration tools, or not collaboration tools, but tools that enable you to produce work. And then there's a communication platform like Outlook and Exchange. Exchange is the server component, and Outlook is the client component that you would use to send and receive email. So for example, when I was at Microsoft, my email address would be dave.webster@microsoft.com. What I can do using Google Apps is create exactly that scenario. So I can have dave.webster@microsoft.com and not use a single piece of Microsoft technology. Now, Google Apps, a lot of criticism or reluctance to change is people's familiarity with the things like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And obviously Microsoft have their own solution, cloud solution, which is called Office 365, which is kind of a hybrid between cloud and on-premise. To be fair to Microsoft, they've built a very successful business selling on-premise software. So to suddenly switch that off and switch to a cloud solution wouldn't probably serve their shareholders very well. Whereas Google have come along with a completely blank page and have been able to look at things in a slightly different way because they have no legacy. So as a company, as you said there, Greg, what it means is you can be an established business or you can be a startup, and you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of pounds on your IT infrastructure, because obviously moving to a Google solution means that you can not buy any hardware. You don't need a server component. One of the other benefits of Google is that you can use it on any device. I think as frightening as it might seem, there's 7 billion people on this planet. Frightening because when I was born, it was half that number. And 2 billion of the 7 are actually on the internet. And the analysts are telling us that the next billion is going to come from smartphones. So people were moving away from traditional PCs and moving on to more mobile technology, whether that be on a tablet or on an actual smartphone. And Google is absolutely well placed to operate in that space. And as we've seen, you know, with this phenomenal success of the iPhone, the two main players on the smartphone business are Android and Apple, and Microsoft have less than 5% market share. So you can see with this, what I call digital Darwinism, evolution of technology, why, you know, Google has such a fantastic offering in terms of Google Apps. And just to finish off, everyone that I've met on this platform has used a Gmail account, which is a kind of one-to-one relationship. Google Apps gives you a one-to-many. So if you've got a domain name, Webster Consulting or Webster-consulting.eu, I can have 1 or 100,000 or more people using Google Apps under that domain name, Webster-consulting.eu.
I think also, Dave, with your background as a Microsoft insider, it speaks volumes for the quality and the flexibility of Google Apps that you are these days a Google Apps convert. I wanted to ask you about, continuing with the Google theme, how did you come across Google Plus? Because I know you're a big Google Plus enthusiast now.
Well, one of the challenges when you work in the cloud is people's reluctance to let go. It's a bit like you know, there'll be people that have bought newspapers and always want to read newspapers versus people that have bought tablets and want to read online content. And what I found, trying to engage people in cloud solutions was difficult. So strategically as a company, we decided to change tack, if you like, and engage with Google Plus, because my feeling was, even if they're using one of the apps that Google Apps offers you, that's better than none. And it's proved to be incredibly successful in that we can now start to talk to people on this platform as we are now, or we can talk about Google Plus and the value it brings to any business, which opens the door for Google Apps types conversations in some cases, because the vast majority of people will have a Gmail account that they're familiar with. So it was a strategic change of direction for us to sort of engage with people that are actually part way to using a cloud-based application.
Okay, so it's a conscious decision then, basically, for your business.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so people may not be aware, but I was hoping originally that you were hoping to join us for one of our offline meetings to talk about, to share a case study and some examples of what you've been doing with Google+. But when that wasn't possible because of diary clashes, we decided to do this as a hangout. So this is another great example of the flexibility that Google+ gives you as a business. So let's have a chat about the case study we were talking about, because that really grabbed my attention, Dave, when you started to talk about that when we were talking about this offline, how you've used Google+ and how within Google+ you've been able to build significantly your brand following. I think it makes a really interesting story. Can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, I don't even think I started on Google+. I think I wanted to use Hangouts, which is what we're using now, which obviously is a component of Google+. So I was really interested in how do you do Hangouts. So went looking online and found a guy called the Hangout Helper, who is also known as Ronnie Bintzer. And he was running what he calls his mastery group. It's also interesting as well because obviously a lot of a lot of the tools that we can get are free, and he was one of the people that was actually monetizing his efforts. So he offered a huge amount of online content that you can watch for free about how to do what we're doing now. But he also offered what I felt great value for money. I think I paid something like $35 a month to be part of his membership group, which has been fantastic because it's put me in contact with so many other people that are also using Google+. So that's really how we started. We went down the Hangout route.
So that was your original connection, really. And what happened after you met Ronnie then? How did that lead on to you getting ideas about how you could develop your brand following?
Well, a lot of the information that Ronnie will share with you, it's all about looking at your following. Really, it's a bit like going to a party. If you go to a party and hang out, well, usually where the alcohol is, you'll meet more people and you'll get into more conversations. So in order to do that, you've got to kind of build your following. So, you know, I looked at Ronnie's following. I think at the time he had 75,000 people following him, and I think I might have had a couple of hundred. So I obviously realised that obviously the more I engage with people, the bigger my following is going to become. And so I'm a big believer in finding the information online, and I also quite an advocate for English speaking or English accents, and I came across a guy called Martin Cheverington who runs the Plus Your Business community, and he does some excellent I believe he's Welsh, he certainly lives in Wales, but got a fantastic English stroke Welsh accent that taught me an awful lot about Google+. So I took a lot of information that he was sharing to build my following. But I must say, it took about 6 months of hard work to build a following of 1,000, which is not even close to Ronnie, and Martin, I think, has got over 300,000 followers now.
And are we talking about your profile page or your business page now?
Great question.
Yeah.
We're talking purely about my profile page. In fact, I think when I started, I didn't even realise that you can have a company page, and it was only by working with Martin and Ronnie that I realised that you can have both.
And what were the steps that you took that, because I'm interested particularly in the brand page, because it's generally easy to build a following on a profile page, isn't it? But a bit more challenging to build something on your company page. How did you go about doing that?
Well, I feel incredibly fortunate, really. I met somebody else on Google+, who is part owner of a company called Circoscope, and they were just about to release a new version of this tool, and Circoscope has been described as Google Circles on steroids.
Oh.
So obviously when you start to get a bigger and bigger following, you need to categorize, really, and when you start off with Google+, I think it gives you acquaintances as a circle, family, friends, and other as kind of 4 default circles. But you can add, you can use those, or you can change them. You can add your own. And you know, when you get thousands and thousands of people following you, it does make sense to put them in some kind of logical format. And I met the Circle Queen, Christine, who, as I say, is an expert on Circoscope, and she was basically looking to test the software, and I asked whether she would help me build the following on my company page, because I felt that I had over 1,200, I think, followers on my personal profile, and I thought there must be a better way of doing it than the way that I was, and Christine came to my aid, really.
So I'm very interested in how you did that, because on my profile page, I think I've got something like about 5,500, 6,000 followers, but on my business page, I think I've got about 340, and it's been painfully slow to build up followers there. So what was it you did specifically then that enabled you to build up to your present level of followers that you've got?
I basically, one of the benefits of a company page over a profile is that you can have multiple people post to a company page, and you can also have people manage your page on your behalf. So I basically handed the reins over to Christine, and she asked a few strategic questions in terms of what was the type of person or company I was looking for to potentially offer cloud-based services to. So I said anything from a solo entrepreneur up to about 250 employees, and I was thinking very locally, really. I was thinking UK based, but we've actually won our first US based client purely through using Google Plus, because at the end of the day you don't actually physically have to be in the country where your potential client is. That wasn't a deliberate ploy, it just happened, and it's opened my eyes really to what Google Plus can do for somebody offering our kind of services, because as long as you speak the same language, you can pretty much operate or get customers anywhere.
Yeah, so while you were saying that, I was thinking, I'm a direct marketer by background, and I'm thinking, okay, so Dave's got company size, he's got locality, and I'm envisaging the area around where your business is based. And then all of a sudden, you tell me that you've got business from the US. That kind of like, wow. So, that really does make you stop and think, doesn't it? If you have a service which can be delivered online, then really there are no geographical barriers other than, as you say, language.
Absolutely, and I should say we do. I mean, our methodology of scaling, we do work with an Indian partner, and we offer Google Apps training. We have a client that has about 40 seats. So in order for us to deploy, we sometimes need the services of our Indian partner, and sometimes need the services of our training partner to actually help us manage the deployment of a big Google Apps implementation. But you're absolutely right. You can, certain size deployments can be done completely remotely without putting or stepping on an aeroplane, which, having travelled extensively, is a real benefit from my point of view.
Can I ask you what difference Christine's help made with your brand page? So you went from X number of followers to Y number of followers. Do you remember what that increase was?
Well, I think I had like 22 people following the company page, and we went from 22 to, I think we're over 1,500 followers on our company page now in 3 months. So, and the other thing that I would say, the only thing, we offer this as a service now anyway. We've just taken a client, helped a client build their brand following from, I think, 6 to over 500 in 30 days. But the only thing that we ask is that you post on your company page whilst we're growing the following. And one of the things which is really exciting is the engagement that you get when you're a lot more targeted with regards to who you want to follow, because it's a bit like if you're selling something that nobody wants, then you're not going to get much engagement. Whereas if you invite an audience that may be interested in what you're selling, you get more engagement, and that's proved to be the case not only from what we've done as a company, but from what we've done on behalf of a third party this month. their following has grown and their engagement has grown.
So we're coming towards the end of the time, because this is a sort of fairly short interview today. What one piece of advice, Dave, would you give to a new business starting out on Google+?
I think I would definitely look at Google Apps rather than a Gmail account. The reason I say that is there is quite a bit to learn, and there's lots of people, you know, like you and I, Greg, that will be more than happy to help any new Google Plusser. But you also get 24/7 support from Google when you have a Google Apps account. Yes, it does cost money, but we're not talking about huge sums. We're talking about £33 per year. Just to use Office 365 on a tablet will cost you nearly £200 a year. So Google charging £33 a year, and you can use it on a tablet, an iPad, a Nexus, a Samsung, multiple phones, whatever PC, whichever browser. It offers a good value proposition. And the other reason that I would say potentially look at Google Apps is you might not necessarily want everything. We really value privacy, and I know a lot of the reason people tend to shy away from cloud or social platforms is that it can be quite invasive in terms of your privacy. So again, if you use a Google Apps account under your domain name, that's you as a business person or your company as a business entity, rather than your Gmail account, which might be used for family and friends. So I would definitely advocate looking at Google Apps. However, as many people do when they first start out, they might start with a Gmail account and then transition to a Google Apps account when they're ready to do so.
Okay, thank you. So if you're watching this and you have a business and you can speak English and you're interested in cloud technology or knowing more about Google Apps, or you have a Google Plus page and you'd like to increase your following, then I will put the links to contact Dave below. And remains for me just to say, Dave, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time, and that was really very, very interesting. I'm sure that the viewers will enjoy what you had to say today. Thank you.
Thank you.